Hello everyone and welcome to MrFluent channel. In this video we want to talk about all the essential idioms about time. All the idioms that you need for IELTS exam, or the idioms that you need in order to speak like a native speaker, like to speak more naturally. So whenever you want to talk about time, like a late time, or you want to say sometimes simply, or you want to discuss a specific point of time, I want to give you the idioms that you can use in order to talk about this stuff. As you know, in IELTS exam, whenever you use idioms or proverbs or phrases that are more natural, and you have a natural understanding of English language, and you can use them like frequently with competency and proficiency. Before we get started, my channel is still growing, so it would be great if you like this video, or if you haven't yet, you can subscribe to my channel. So time's running out. Let's start talking about time idioms. Alright, first of all, when you do something like in the last possible moment, and you do something like really late, you're gonna be somewhere at 12 o'clock and you get there at 11:59, just so late, so close to the due time. You can say that I got there in the last minute. I got there in the last minute. Or for example, you have a project and you want to do it like until July 4th, for example, but you do it in the last day at July 4th and last hour, and you're like, I sent my project at the last minute. It means you have done it as late as possible, just at the last moment. So whenever you want to talk about something being like late or just close to the deadline, you can use at the last minute. It means as late as possible.
Came up at the last minute. Miraculously, a copy of the complaint was located at the last minute and we got it to court on time.
Number 2, in due course. Something is going to happen in the future. You don't know when, but you know that there's going to be some appropriate time for you to get there. Like for example, you have a meeting with someone and you tell them that, hey, in due course, we're going to talk about the details. In due course means sometimes in the future, when the time comes, when it's a proper time, when it's appropriate, we're going to talk about it. So you use in due course means when the time comes and when it's the best time to discuss it. So for example, I have a student, he is learning English and is like, when can I speak like a native speaker? I'm like, in the due course, you're going to get it. In the due course, you're going to speak like a native speaker. It means when the time comes, when the time is appropriate, when the proper time arrives. In due course.
And in due course, our children would have to make their peace with the same fact.
For all shall reveal itself in due course.
Number 3, once in a blue moon. When something happens very occasionally, like really rarely, like every 100 years, every 20 years, every long period of time, something happens, you can say it happens once in a blue moon. Like, blue moon is something that is so rare. It's not always, it's not happening like really frequently. It happens time to time. So it happens really rarely. This idiom happens really rarely. So when you say that something or someone comes here once in a blue moon, it means they just come here very rarely. Like for example, I have a grandma. I get to see my grandma every 3 years. I meet her once in a blue moon. It means it's really occasional. It's really rarely. Once in a blue moon. That's it.
Try going with your feelings once in a blue moon.
Only once in a blue moon did he condescend to hear an appeal.
Number 4, at the crack of dawn. So imagine you're an early bird and you like to do everything you want to do at the very early morning, and just when the sun rises, you want to start taking a shower, begin your day, kickstart your day, start doing a workout when the sun rises. So if you do something very early morning, you can say that I do it at the crack of dawn. At the crack of dawn means very early in the morning, especially when the sun rises. It's dawn. So for example, I can say, every day at the crack of dawn, I take a shower. Means when the sun rises, it's really early in the morning, I like to take a shower. That's it.
This is why I wake up at the crack of dawn every day. We should get married at the crack of dawn.
For donkey's years. Number 5, for donkey's years. When something happens like in a very long time, when you want to say that like for thousands of years, for 200 years, you want to just, specify a long period of time, you can use for donkey's years. Like, for example, I ask you, how long since the last time you saw your grandfather? You're like, man, he's dead. He died 20 years ago. I haven't seen him for donkey's years. I haven't seen him for donkey's years. It means it's been a very long time since the last time I saw him. So for donkey's years means for a very long time. That's it.
The first anniversary. But you two been married for donkey's years.
The old road hasn't been used for donkey's years and is all overgrown with grass and bushes and trees growing right in the middle of it.
Alright, now let's get to number 6. We've got at the 11th hour. Again, when you do something like really late and at the last possible moment, you can say that I did it at the 11th hour. Like, for example, imagine I'm a manager in a company and I have given some projects to my, subordinates, and I'm like, when did they finish the project? And my team is like, they have done it at the 11th hour. So at the 11th hour means like just really late, just as close to the finish line, just so close to the deadline, at the last possible moment, at the 11th hour. That's it.
He called me at the 11th hour.
Shyster trying to spring an extra £2 on me at the 11th hour.
And for number 7, we've got in this day and age. Like, sometimes you want to talk about the modern times. You just want to say that these days, not the past time. So in this case, you can use the idiom in this day and age. Like, for example, I want to say that in modern times, kids know how to use technology and smartphones and all that stuff. I can say that in these day and age, kids know how to use smartphones. In this day and age. It means modern times, these days.
What can you do in this day and age?
Number 8, we've got sooner or later. So when something is going to happen eventually, like you don't know when, but it's definite. It's going to happen. There's no doubt about it that it's going to happen sometimes in the future. You can say sooner or later it's going to happen, man. Like, for example, somebody tells me that, hey, 20 years later, we're going to have some robots, robots that are so similar to human beings. They're going to walk and talk and do stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, sooner or later it's going to happen. When I say that sooner or later it's going to happen, it means it's only a matter of time. We don't know when, but it's eventually going to happen. That's it.
Sooner or later, you gotta stop.
Sooner or later, the Justice Department is going to come through the blast doors looking for their judges.
Number 9, we've got not in a month of Sundays. It means that it's unlikely to happen. It's quite impossible for that to happen. Like, for example, you're going to be like, my friend is going to tell me that, hey, I'm going to be like Brad Pitt in the future. I'm going to get rich. And I'm like, come on, man, not in a month of Sundays. It means I think that it's quite impossible for you. I think that it's unlikely for you to get rich like Brad Pitt. It's not going to happen not in a month of Sundays. It means it's unlikely to happen.
And they won't find her, not in a month of Sundays.
Alright, now let's get to number 10. We've got on the dot. When something happens on the dot, it means it's just exactly at the time. Like, it's so precise, not a minute sooner, not a minute later, just on time. Like, for example, my mom calls me and she's like, when are you going to come home? Because we're going to have dinner at 9 on the dot. When she says that we're going to have dinner at 9 on the dot, it means that it's going to be 9 o'clock precisely. Like, not a minute sooner, not a minute later, just at the time, just at 9 o'clock on the dot.
Surprised if you're not paid on the dot.
What time will you be leaving?
11:30, madam. On the dot.
Number 11, we've got in the nick of time. When something happens in the nick of time, it means it just happens in time when you expect that thing to happen. Like, for example, my friend calls me and he's like, hey, we have an accident outside. We have an assault or something like that. We've got a fight. And the police came here in the nick of time. The police arrived in the nick of time. when he says that the police arrived in the nick of time, it means the police just came in time, in the proper time, not late, not soon. We needed and expected police to be there at that moment, and they just arrived in the nick of time. So when something happens in the nick of time, it means it happens in the appropriate and proper time. In the nick of time.
Just in the nick of time, huh? Hey, McLean, I got a first-class unit here, SWAT team and all. We don't need any Monday...
Just in the nick of time, huh?
Let's get to number 12. We've got from time to time. When something happens from time to time, it basically means that it's not an always thing. It just happens occasionally, and it happens just sometimes. Like, I do something in September, then I do it in April, like just twice a year. I do it just from time to time. Like, for example, my friend asks that, hey man, how often do you go and see a movie in theater? And I'm like, man, from time to time, I don't know. It just means sometimes. It's not often, it's not seldom, it's just sometimes, from time to time.
Neighbors say that his nephew stays there from time to time while the probate is being worked out.
We all stumble from time to time.
Next one we've got on the spur of the moment. When something happens on the spur of the moment, or you plan something on the spur of the moment, it means you just plan it when you're speaking, like without having any plans in advance. Like, for example, I called my mom and said, hey mom, we're gonna travel to Brazil tomorrow, and she's like, what? You didn't tell me. You should have told me sooner. But I'm like, Mom, I'm sorry, we just made a decision on the spur of the moment. On the spur of the moment just means immediately, like, you know, right at the time, just an hour ago. We didn't have any plan. We just made a decision on the spur of the moment, just right away. That's it.
I just came on the spur of the moment.
Once and for all, mon colonel, it was not on the spur of the moment. It was carefully planned.
Number 14, we've got long time no see. Been a while, man. So when you see a friend or like a relative of yours or your teacher after a long time, like after 20 years, you can say that, hey man, it's a long time no see. So when you say long time no see, it's, you know, it's obvious, you know, it means that we haven't seen each other for a long time. It's been a while, you have changed a lot. Or like it can mean that, hey, you miss your friend. Long time no see. That's it.
Hey, Bumper, old buddy. Long time no see.
Long time no see, right?
And number 15, we've got it's a matter of time. Again, when something is going to happen in the future, you're not sure when, but you're pretty sure that it's going to happen eventually. You can say it's only a matter of time. Like, for example, you know a family, and the family, they've got a lot of problems, and they fight all the times, and they don't have really a common ground. I mean, the wife and the husband. And you're like, they're going to get divorced eventually. So you can say it's only a matter of time until they get a divorce. It's only a matter of time. It means you're sure about it. You just got to wait and see when it's going to happen, like in 2 years or 20 years or maybe 200 years if possible. It's only a matter of time. That's it.
It's only a matter of time before he finds out. And when he does, no matter where he is, get ready, gentlemen, because hell's a-coming.
I've no intention of writhing around in agony for hours on end when the time comes.
Something happens for hours on end. It means it happens just continuously. It happens continuously without being paused or without being stopped. Like, for example, you have a talkative friend who talks too much, and you can say that, hey, Mom, you know, John, he just can't talk for hours on end. He can talk for hours on end. It means he can't stop talking. He's talking just all the time, too much, continuously, without being stopped. That was the last one.
She screamed for hours on end.
Alright, thank you so much everyone for watching this video. I tried to cover all the essential idioms that you needed for your IELTS exam or for your writing exam or just for speaking like a native speaker, like more naturally. You know, using idioms are so beautiful. I think we covered 90% of the essential time idioms that you needed when it comes to talk about like something in the past or a long time or a continuous time or when something happens, you know, sometimes and all that stuff. If you like this video, I would be delighted if you like or put a comment in there, or if you haven't yet, you can subscribe to my channel and share it to your friends if you think they are useful. Hope to see you all around again. Alright, okay, so it's only a matter of time till we see each other again. Thank you so much. Take care.